Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Good evening. Hello. Hello. Is anybody there? Remember, so we can start. You have to put your camera on. Hello. Diana, Verne, Alejandra, Carla.
Good evening.
Please. Someone. Thank you, Alexandra.
Hello.
All right. Thank you, Verne. Thank you, Luciana.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Okay, guys. So welcome. My name is Benjail Huchim, and I'm going to be your teacher for theory classes about the TOEFL preparation. Okay, so let me introduce myself. I am Mexican. I am from Campeche, Mexico. I don't know if you know. And I am 32 years old, and I'm here to help you with some tips and some strategies you can use at the time that you're taking the TOEFL test. So please introduce yourself. Let's start with Luciana, please.
Okay, my name is Luciana Mollinedo. I am 19 years. I'm from Bolivia. I take this test because I need for my university. And my motivation is that I consider that English is really important for my life. When I I don't know.
Yeah, it's really important for you. Do you want to study abroad?
Yes.
Yeah, where do you want to go?
I study in Senace. Is a class in my university. CBA, BNC.
Okay. Thank you, Luciana. Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Now let's
Nice to
listen. Alejandra.
Hi, hello. My name is Alejandra Carazas. I am also from Bolivia. I am 23 years old. Why I take this test? Because I want to go to university to the United States. So I want to prove how good is my English. And my motivation is that I want to grow. And not only I want to learn like two languages, like it's Spanish and English. So also I think English is, if you know more than two languages, you have opportunity everywhere. Yeah, that's all.
Very, very interesting. Nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Now let's listen to Carla.
Okay, my name is Carla Andrea. My friends call me Andy, and I am 20 years old. I'm studying business administration. I'm from Bolivia, and I take this course because I think that this test open a lot of opportunities in all the world, I think, and I want to learn more because I need to practice.
Okay.
I think.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Carla. Ariadne.
Hi, teacher. Well, my name is Ariadne Sarmiento. I am 19 years old. I'm studying marketing. When I was 12 years old, I started the CBA and I finished it, but obviously I have forgotten some grammatical structures and I need to reinforce them to pass my certification exam at university. Well, my motivation, as my classmates said before, is I think that English give us or open a lot of doors in life, so it's something very important to learn.
Okay, nice. Very interesting. Nice to meet you. And how do you say Segel or Sehel?
Hi, teacher. My name is Segel.
Segel. Nice to meet you. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah. Well, my name is Segel. I'm from Peru. I have 17 years old. I recently graduated from high school last year. This year I'm not studying because I have to take TOEFL and the SAT. I want to study in US, so I need these two exams. Well, actually, I did it once, this exam. I got a 74, but I also need 80, so I'm gonna take it again. So I just gonna refresh the content that I know and prepare myself for the exam. That's all.
Correct. Thank you. Very nice. Nice to meet you. Besides Segel, is there anyone else who has taken this exam before? No, all of you is the first time. Only Segel. Okay. So Segel, for you, which part do you consider is the most difficult at the time you took the exam?
Well, the most difficult for me, it was the listening, but for all my friends and people that I know took the TOEFL was the speaking. But for me, it wasn't really difficult. But the listening, it was difficult because in the virtual exam, I realized that day of the exam that I have to took it with not with paper and this pen. It was with a marker and like a special kind of paper that it's really uncomfortable to write. So it was really impacting because in listening you have to write a lot and that kind of things. So for me it was really difficult listening.
Okay, interesting. So there is another person who is Huawei, P Smart. Is someone of you? Hello, Mr. Huawei or Miss Huawei. No? Okay. Well, as you know, you might know something or a little bit about what TOEFL is, right? There are different types of TOEFL around the concept or ETS. The biggest one we can say, or the more complete one, is this the TOEFL IBT. That it has the four sections. They check about the four sections or the four skills that you can use on communication. That is reading, listening, speaking, and writing. So they analyze how you or how good you are at understanding and communicating topics from school. Yeah. Normally, people use this test to go abroad to study maybe in the USA in Canada and some other places that they require this TOEFL to demonstrate your level of communicating in English. Okay, now this exam is not exactly to demonstrate that you know grammar. Like I know simple present, I know past perfect, I know these things. Not that exactly. In this test, they are checking about your communication or how can you develop a conversation or interpreting things from an academic situation. Okay, because normally this test is to what is used to demonstrate your level in some academics on some schools around the world. Okay, now the main purpose of this is to well, you know, if you go to United States, you cannot say, please teacher, can you repeat, I didn't understand, or well, how do you say this word, or how do you spell it? Because it's a possibility that you have to understand the topic, you have to understand how they say the word and stuff because they speak natural. So you have to understand natural speaking. Okay. So far, you must have the knowledge, you must have the skills of communicating one to another and to understand mainly things. Okay. So if you want to go and you want to study in an American school, they don't care about where you're from. They only know that you have to understand topics from there. Okay, so that's the main purpose. So TOEFL is known around the world for a lot of schools that they need it. Okay, now the TOEFL is divided in 4 sections. As I said, you have to be able around 3 hours or 3 hours and a half to answer all this. Recently, TOEFL, the IBT has changed because previously it was a little longer. For example, in the speaking section, they had 6 tasks, and right now you only have 4. Yeah, and the reading and listening, they have little modifications on the topics. Now, the first section that you have, the first section that you see at the time of the taking the TOEFL is the reading. Yeah, and it takes average to 54 to 72 minutes where you have to read passages and respond to questions according to that passages. Okay, then you have the listening section where you have to listen obviously and answer questions about what you listen. Okay, normally it's about lectures or classroom discussions. It is about 45 to 50 to 57 minutes, around 28 to 39 questions, depending. Then you have a little break, 10 minutes break, because you know it's very tiring, be sitting there in front of a computer. And then starts the speaking section, where you have 4 tasks that are the 4 questions, and in those speakings, each question you have to answer, you have to talk by 1 minute. So it takes around 17 minutes. Okay. In this one, the 4 tasks are divided in the integrated task and independent task. So the topic for the integrated are about topics and discussions from material that you have already listened from the reading and listening. So you might be related. All the topics are related during all the TOEFL. So it's a kind of how do you say? I forgot the word. Predictable. It's a little predictable because the reading and the listening that you have done previously, you will maybe listen a little topic similar to it. Okay. And the last section is the writing, and it takes about 50 minutes. There are 2 tasks. The first one is the integrated and the second the independent, where you have to read a passage in the integrated, you need to listen to a recording and type your answer. You need to type, okay? So for the integrated task, you might read, listen, and then speak in response to a question. You might listen and then speak in response to a question, or read, listen, and then write in response to a question. That it means the integrated. Now, the independent refers to something related to yourself. So your own knowledge, your, your own experience, all related to you. Okay, those are personal opinion. So we have here Belen Isabel. Hello. Are you there?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm here. It's because I'm at work and I can't turn on the camera.
Okay, thank you, Sami. And Huawei, is there anybody?
Hello, Mr. I'm sorry. I don't know how to use Zoom. That's why I'm having problems with the connection as well.
No problem. What's your name?
Pamela Rivera.
Pamela. Oh, here you go. So far, do you have any question? Anybody? Questions? No questions? No? So let's move on. Okay. Today's topic, the topic for today that we want to check is about the reading section. We're going to start with the reading section. Okay. Now, the reading section normally is divided in three. Those are the three passages that you have to read, and each passage lasts about 20 minutes. Okay. Now, for this time, the 20 minutes, you decide how to use it. Okay. I mean, you can use 1 minute answering the first question, 1 minute answering the second question, or depending on you, you can take 5 minutes answering the first question, 5 minutes, but at the time you have to answer 14 questions. So depending on you, how much time do you want to spend in each question? So you can scroll down, scroll up to searching which question do you want to answer. Okay. So for this, you have different types of structure in the questions, like multiple choices. You have selecting and summarizing topics from the same lecture. Okay. Now you have to remember, and this is the same I told you, you manage the clock, you decide how much time to spend on each passage and question. One passage takes about 20 minutes to complete. Some people recommend that you could read the passage completely before you start answering. And some other people recommend then do not read it complete because it's unnecessary. Why? Because you will see the question on your right and the passage on your left. So for example, this will be the passage or the question, and this will be the passage or the question. Okay, depending. Normally the questions are here and the passage are here. Okay, so in the first question we'll say, according to paragraph 1, what does the highlighted word imply? So you, in this section, they show you the first paragraph, and so on. You click the next question. It says, according to paragraph 2, then they send you, or they show the second paragraph, and so on. So it's sometimes it is unnecessary to answer to read completely the whole lecture. Okay. Now there are some questions that ask you, what does this sentence imply? According to the whole lecture, what this word implies. So in that case, you need the context. So you may take a brief, very briefly scheme of the lecture. Even you don't have to read it as well. You can skim, you can scan all the lecture, just looking for the specific words, and you move on. You continue. Okay. Now, important. If you don't know the answer, if you don't understand the question, or you don't figure out which the answer is, select something, whatever. Okay, it's better if you click on whatever you want instead of leave the questions without an answer. Okay, sometimes your inner you has the answer, so you have to trust in yourself. You how do you call your inner you? Your intuition knows the answer. Okay, so you have to trust in your intuition. Okay, now, yes, any question? No? Okay, in this reading that you will see, the topic that you have in there, you might see, maybe you will see in some questions in the future, like in the writing or in the speaking or even in the listening. Okay, something related to the same topic, you will listen. So it's sometimes it's good when you have the context of each lecture. Okay, now this is an example of a lecture. Okay, so you will see something like this. Okay, this is the first paragraph. This lecture has 4 paragraphs: the first, the second, the third, and the fourth. If you see, there are some words that are highlighted, like these ones. Yeah? There are some words or some sentences, completed statements that are highlighted, and there are some squares at some point of the lecture. Okay, it means that you have to do something with them. In the first case, as in the first paragraph, the question will say, according to paragraph 1, because it's for what does said about mean? So you can go to your lecture, and revise what is the context around this word. Normally, you can see from point to point to understand the context of that word. So you don't have to read all the paragraph to understand only this. Okay. But again, it's up to you. As you see, there are some words highlighted, and you want to see. Then here, according to paragraph 2, what does the highlighted word mean? So you need to go and find which is the highlighted word. Maybe you don't have any word highlighted. So according to paragraph 3, what does Mr. Smith imply when they say something? So you need to find the keyword about what he said and understand the context. Okay. And you will see a statement that you have to place in a maybe here, maybe here, maybe here. You have to find the correct place where it belongs. And also, the complete statement, you have to put, you have to include some other information into this statement. Okay, so the questions that we will see normally, the most of them are multiple choice. Okay, you know the multiple choice they have the 4 choices, A, B, C, or D. Okay, sometimes they had A, B, C, D, E, but here is only from A to D. Okay, so you will see this, the question, and here you will see the paragraph. Okay, so according to paragraph 1, when was Adam Smith born? And then you go and check the sentence, the paragraph, and analyze it. They usually are easy to find. Okay, but you need to know what are you looking for. Like here, what are you looking? A date. So you go and find what is the date of this person. Okay. In paragraph 1, proponents is closely meaning to. Here we have the highlighted word. Also be careful with the question that is not true. Okay, because sometimes you get used to look for the one in positive statements. So you need to find what are those and which one from here are not according to what they ask. Okay, so you need to be careful with this. And here, multiple choice. Again, multiple choice. So you have to remember that this question type measures your ability to identify general and specific information in the paragraph on the right side of the screen. You have it. Also, that you can answer in any order. There isn't any order that you can follow. You can answer first the number 6, then the number 2, then the number 8, then the number 4, however you want. You can change your answers. Again, you can change. Yes, you can change, but they highly recommend that don't do it. Don't change your answers because sometimes the first answer you choose is the correct one when you trust in your intuition. Okay. Now, if you realize and you search or you identify the correct answer and it's not the one that you have chosen first, change it, obviously, because you know now you are really sure that the one that you're selecting now is the correct one. Okay, but if you're like, should I change it? Don't do it. Okay, because the usual is the first option you choose is the correct one. Sometimes I'm not saying that it's always like that. Okay. Let's go for it. We continue mostly the multiple choices. Then we have from squares. It says this question has 4 answer choices. Each is indicated by the black square. Little square. In the passage on the right below, each black square is possible insertion point for the bold insertion sentence on the left. This kind of questions is a 1-point question where you have to put this statement into one of these places. Where does the sentence belong? And it goes for 1 point. Then multiple choice. Here we have this one requires you to identify general information because you have here summarized. This questions type start with a topic sentence in bold. This one. The topic sentence starts a short summary of the passage. You must complete the summary below the bold sentence. There will be 3 bullet points and 6 sentence choices. Choose 3 sentences to complete the summary. Click and drag a choice to decide about the point. You do not have to put the answer in order. And this type of question is a 2-point question. Okay, so in this kind of question, yes, it requires you to understand the context about all the lecture. Okay, so at this point, you already have answered the rest, the all multiple choice questions, the multiple choice questions, right? So you know, you have an idea what is the passage about. You can do it, but if not, do a briefly skim about what the lecture is, so you can start reading very fast. Understand? But I recommend that you read this first, so you have this in mind, and then go to read the complete lecture, so you can identify and you can relate which is the best option you can choose. So when you have it, click on it and drag it into the place here. It doesn't matter the place where you put it, the first, the second, the third. The thing is that you have to put in the correct option. Okay, only select 3 of this, and it's a 2-point question. Okay, and for the last, we have this other. The third is one more about highlighted question, and the other one we have I'm sorry. Okay, in this part, you have to complete a table. You have to click and drag answers under the corresponding topic heading, mercantilists or Adam Smith. The answers do not have to be in order. Yeah, there are 3 for mercantilists and 4 for Adam Smith. Okay. This question measures your ability to identify a specific information. Okay, so you click on it and you drag it there. Okay, so I'm ready. Now, let's go for the example. Let's start giving a read, quickly reading to this. Please, Miss Molly Mojinedo? Molly or Moji?
Molinero.
Mojinedo. Okay, please read.
The first,
Yes,
okay.
please.
Adam Smith was born in Scotland in 1723. As a young man, he studied moral philosophy at the University of Glasgow and at Oxford. He eventually went on to tutor a nobleman son. The position freed Smith from his daily work while affording him the opportunity to tutor while traveling through Europe. In France, Smith met Rousseau and Voltaire, leading proponents of the European Enlightenment. At its core, the European Enlightenment, guided by reason and science, questions custom, morals, and traditional institutions, namely monarchies. Returning to Scotland, Smith set about writing his seminary and inquired into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations.
Thank you. Please, Ms. Sarmiento, can you read this?
In The Wealth of Nations, Smith argues that building national economic wealth begins with a division of labor. Smith supports his argument by using a pin factory. In a typical pin factory of the day, each worker was responsible for making pins from start to finish. A worker will start by cutting the pin to size from a piece of wire, then straighten it, then sharpen the end, affix a head, polish it, then package it. In short, one man was responsible for each step of this pin-making process. Smith argued that such an approach was not only counterproductive, but also time-consuming inasmuch as once a worker finished one part of the task, say polishing a pin, he would pause before moving on to the next task. Such an approach, Smith argued, was inefficient, for workers were likely to saunter or pause between steps, which wasted time and substantially reduced productivity. Smith argued that the most efficient way to make pins was through a division of labor. Instead of 10 men each separately making a pin from start to finish, each will be assigned one task. For example, one man will sharpen pins all day, another will polish them while a third will package them, and so on. By dividing labor this way, Smith theorized that the production of pins will dramatically increase. As a result, there will be more pins to sell and thus more money to be made. Smith's scientific approach to rationalizing the manufacturing process for greater productivity was indeed the product of Enlightenment thought.
Thank you. Ms. Carazas, please.
Okay. A division of labor, however, was but one part of Smith's argument for creating wealth. An integral part of the wealth-making process, Smith claims, is the pin worker himself. He is performing his assigned task not for society's benefit, not for the benefit of the company, but for his own personal gain and security. The same follows with the owner of the pin factory. He too is out for personal gain, the health and the wealth of the nation, the least of his and his workers' worries. Yet by pursuing individual gain, Smith argues that the workers and the factory owners are in fact directly adding to the wealth of the nation by utilizing a more efficient manufacturing process, one which stimulates trade, the buying and selling of goods. Locally, nationally, and internationally, Smith coined this process the invisible hand.
Thank you. And the last part is Mr. Acuña.
Yeah, one moment, please. Okay. The Wealth of Nations is very much a reaction to the predominating economic theory of the day, that of mercantilism. Mercantilists posited that the wealth of a nation depended on developing and maintaining national power, thus it was a form of economic nationalism. Spain at the time of Columbus, is a prime example of just such a nation. A nation like Spain preserved national power by accumulating as much gold as possible through strong exports, the limitation of imports, and a large population of poorly paid workers. To develop exports, companies were subsidized by the government, which also wrote laws to limit imports. By limiting imports, the gold used to pay for imports will stay in the country and create a greater money supply and more credit. Moreover, nations were geared toward acquiring and maintaining gold at all costs, including warring with each other. Adam Smith, however, argued that trade benefited all nations and that gold was not equal to wealth. Gold, Smith said, was like any other commodity, such as wheat or wool, and that it deserved no special treatment. More importantly, Smith says that the wealth of a nation is not based on the boarding of gold, but on the free flow of goods manufactured in a systematic way, a way that serves the need of the individual and ultimately the nation as a whole. With that, Adam Smith gave birth to what we now call economic theory. As Thomas Edison is to the light bulb, Adam Smith is to the science of economics.
Thank you. Now that you have already the context of all the lecture, we can start answering the first question. Let's answer a few of them, not all of them. Let's answer a few. As it says in the first question, according to paragraph 1, when was Adam Smith born? Do you remember? When was he born? You have a date, right? It says the first line, Adam Smith was born in Scotland in 1723. Now, for the options that we have, it says in the late 16th century, in the early 18th century, in the late 18th century, in the early 17th century. Which one do you think is the correct answer?
Letter B.
Letter B. Someone thinks different?
I think it's D.
You think it's D. Someone else? Okay, this is a little knowledge, general knowledge about how centuries are named. Okay, for this we have that Segel is correct, is in the early 18th century. Okay, so for this it's important you might investigate a little bit how to name the centuries, but the easiest way is to add 1 to this number always. If you want to know what is the century, add 1 to the number, okay, to the 100. So when you have this, you will say is the 18th century. Now is the early because it's the 23. Okay, so the easiest way to understand centuries is adding 1, and that is the century that you are. And so on. And now here in the number 3, well, in paragraph 1, let's see the first that it has a highlighted word. It says proponents, it's closest in meaning to A, associates, B, opponents, C, supporters, or D, professionals. We go directly to the first paragraph again. Remember, you will see at the same time. Here we have the word proponents, right? Easy to find because it's highlighted. Now, how to understand that? maybe you can read from point to point. From here to here. Only that, not the complete paragraph. So you can say, the position freed Smith from his daily work while affording him the opportunity to tutor while traveling throughout Europe. In France, Smith met Rousseau and Voltaire, leading proponents of the European Enlightenment. Now, what do you think proponents are?
Supporter.
Supporters. Someone else? And this is the correct answer. Supporters is the correct answer. Now here we can understand the words proponents as they following the same idea of this. You need the proponents are the one that propose something, they give some ideas. Okay, so indeed you have to understand and relate the answer to this. So we have here is the supporters, they have the same idea. Okay, now be careful with the questions where it says not. What is not true of the European Enlightenment? Now, where do I find this question? Where do I find this information? It doesn't say in paragraph 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. No, it doesn't say anything. The usual is in the same paragraph you have previously. Okay. Normally, they change until the next question has in paragraph 2, so they move on. They start moving. In paragraph 2, continue them. Okay. So with that, you know, you might have the information in that paragraph. Normally in paragraph 1. Here it says, what is not true of the European Enlightenment? If we go to the reading, to the text, we need to find what is the key word that we need to identify. We need to search
European Enlightenment.
Correct. European Enlightenment is the key word that I need to identify during my reading. So you will see different places. European Enlightenment. The word European Enlightenment. So using those as a reference, you start looking for the answer. In here, you might have the answer around this. In France, Smith met Rousseau and Voltaire, leading proponents of the European Enlightenment. At its core, the European Enlightenment, guided by reason and science, questioned customs, morals, and traditional institutions, namely monarchies. We can understand this. So, what is not true about European Enlightenment? It was based on reason. It challenged customs and morals. It was supported by kings and queens. It values science. So we need to understand the context about what they say. Question it. If I question you, I'm challenging you, right? Like say something. I'm telling you, I am asking you something. Right? Questions. So they say, why is this why the monarchy is like this? I'm questioning. So, what do you think is the correct answer? A, B, C, or D?
It was supported by kings and queens.
It was supported kings and queens. Why? Why did you decide this?
Because in the paragraph it says that it was based on reasons and science. It was guided by reasons and science, question, custom, morals, and traditional institution. But it doesn't say nothing about queens and kings.
Exactly. And furthermore, if they question monarchies, monarchies don't support them, right? Because they are challenging the monarchies. So in that case, it is correct. Didn't mention anything about that, but sometimes it could be tricky if you only hear that. Okay, so you might understand all the context of that. Okay. The usual, sometimes the easiest questions in here are the ones that represents or they repeat the same statement from the question, from the reading. For example, in the sixth question says, in paragraph 2, Adam Smith believes that economic wealth starts with what? So here you have the four options: mercantilism, a factory, an invisible hand, or a division of labor. Then it says, in The Wealth of Nations, Smith argues that building national economic wealth begins with a division of labor. So when you find this, it's kind of easy. It's the easiest one. Don't you think so? It's almost like that. What do we have to look for? Keywords, signal words. Yeah. And when you identify them during the reading, national economic wealth, so you will see that. And relate the words starts, begins. So we can say that it's almost the same. And when you see this, normally the next statement has the answer. Is the usual. Okay. Now these kind of questions are a little exhaustive because you have to understand the topic. In that case, when you see the four squares, maybe it's a good idea to read it completely first. Okay, so you understand the idea. And the direction said, look at the four squares. They indicate where the bold sentence below could be added to paragraph 4. Click on the square to insert the sentence into the passage. It says, the sentence you have to include is, witness England and Holland battling for control of present-day Manhattan in the early 60s. Now, where do you think it goes? I'm going to read it complete and then try to put in the correct place. Tell me which are the ones that you believe it corresponds. It says, a nation like Spain preserved national power by accumulating as much gold as possible through strong sports, the limitation of imports, and a large population of poorly paid workers. Witness England and Holland battling for control of present-day Manhattan in the early 60s. To develop sports companies were subsidized by the government, which also wrote laws to limit imports. Witness England and Holland battling for control of present-day Manhattan in the early 60s. By limiting imports, the gold used to pay for imports will stay in the country and create a greater money supply and more credit. Witness England and Holland battling for control of present-day Manhattan in the early 60s. Moreover, nations were geared toward acquiring and maintaining gold at all costs, including warring with each other. Witness England and Holland battle for control of present-day Manhattan in the early 60s. Adam Smith, however, argued that free trade benefited all nations and that goal was not equal to wealth. Which one do you think is where it belongs? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
I think it's the fourth square.
The 4. Here. Someone else? What do you think, Luciana? Ariadne, what do you think? Carla, what do you think?
I think the same that my classmate.
The 4. Okay. Actually, the 4 is the correct option. Why? We could find some synonyms in here, like saying the war and battling. Yeah. So here, both of them are having the same context, something related to fight. And in any other places, they were related. They were saying something about a conflict, right? So according to that, you can relate it to it. It says maintaining gold at all costs, including warring with each other, witness England and Holland battle. We're talking about this war. Okay, so the correct option is the fourth square. Okay, so till here, anybody has a question?
Mr. One question.
Let me submit.
Is it always related, or maybe can change that part of the
What do you
exam?
what do you mean? Related to who? Or
You were explaining that in that part that my in that part you said that it's always related, like the sentence is always related to the answer, right? You were explaining that part.
but in the last one that we were checking, the square.
Yeah, the last one with the square.
Yeah, the thing is that you had to find that the context goes according what you're having in the statement. So if you put the sentence in any other place, it won't have any context. I mean, it's like babbling and then saying anything. So the correct place for that sentence must be according to the context in those lines. So that is what belongs. It corresponding to the same.
Okay.
Okay. So please, it will show a little survey. Please answer about today's class. And remember, I don't know if you know, but you have a simulation of the TOEFL. So please try to do it. If you don't know, go to the executive English education. You have the link there. You have the app. So you can download it and practice the simulation. Okay, it's important for you to know your current level doing the exam. Okay, it is important because at the end of the course, you have another simulation, so you can compare how much you are improved. And also, you have the option of the calls. That is those are sessions with a teacher. In this case, I think you are assigned to the teacher Andrea. Teacher Andrea is your next teacher for tomorrow's class. And tomorrow is practice, so you had to practice a little bit about the topic that we saw today. Okay, and she will say which is the schedule you have. I think it's already on the WhatsApp group. I don't know, so you can check it. Okay, and there are 5 already. I'm missing 1, 5, 2 more. Someone didn't answer yet. I don't know. You have any questions so far? No questions?
Yeah, sorry. Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, are we gonna have different teachers for every day then?
No, just me and teacher Andrea.
Okay,
Me
okay.
for theory classes and teacher Andrea for practices.
Yeah, one more question about the camera. I won't be able to have the camera on for at least until Friday. I'm at work until late, and I'm practically listening to the lesson, and I'm doing my work as well.
Okay. Well, you have a situation there, so we can.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say because it said it was we had to turn on the camera, and I'm not gonna be able to do it, and I don't think that's gonna bring me problems, right?
Okay. No, of course not. But the thing is that it's important to us to see it or in the other side of the computer. But if you have a situation, also comment to the other teacher. So nothing happened. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So I just missing one. I don't know who didn't answer. And also remember that you have this